Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we will be looking at plants that we will be finding at a mall at the Philippines. This is a place called BGC Uptown Mall, Megaworld. So as you know, I have taken a vacation to the Philippines. This is where my family is originally from. As always, please make sure you are hitting that like button, following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. But anyways, for those that have been able to watch some of my videos from my vacation from the Philippines, I really appreciate it. As you can see, we are now more of in the mall metropolitan area. This is a beautiful area, and I just wanted to take some time to show you how the Philippines really merges a lot of our natural tropical plants. You know, a lot of the plants that we see at a big box store like Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart. These are plants that were taken from a tropical country, say from the Philippines, for instance, and taken into a big box store. So I just wanted to highlight certain plants that they have here. The Philippines is a tropical country, and as you can see, they've got some agave already over here, as well as a bunch of those picara plants. That was a variegated plant that I've never really seen offered in the western part of the world. I am based out in North Dallas, so just to be able to see a lot of these tropical plants be able to grow very vigorously and through maturity was really an amazing experience. And so this is not a typical big box store plant shopping video. And for my loyal plant foldies, that's what I call my viewers and subscribers, have no fear, I will be filming lots of big box store plant shopping videos later part of this week, but I did want to just show you all of these plants that they have available in terms of what they have for the landscaping and even some of the ones that are in planters. But BGC is a great place to go do shopping at. They have this amazing mall here, and they have different levels, and you can see here, look at how beautiful this plant is right here. So I'm thinking this is either some type of banana plant or some type of palm. So I didn't really want to label that. I was not 100% sure of what the plant is. And the same thing with this plant right here. Now it does have a purple bloom. So plant foldies, if you know the plant ID, please leave that in the comment section with a timestamp. And for those that have left many comments for my videos, I really appreciate it. And for those that did take the time to watch my plant shopping compilation videos, my marathons while I was gone for 2 weeks, thank you so much. I know some of my viewership kind of went down. I'm hoping that all of you guys who love plants will support me by watching all of my Philippine plant videos 100% through. YouTube really does look at the engagement and watch time, and that really helps push the videos out to more plant lovers like yourself. So I would really appreciate it if you can definitely engage and watch through all of these videos. But it is my last day when I was out in the Philippines, so I decided to go early right before the mall opens. The mall opens at 10 o'clock, so I was able to film freely, and that's the reason why there's not a lot of people here. As you can see, they've got this cellum, or what they would call the tomathophyllum, with a bunch of golden pothos as kind of like an accent piece for the plant. Now this cellum or tomathophyllum was a very common plant that you would typically see in the Philippines. It literally is probably the most common plant that I saw while I was over in the Philippines. And then they also have just a lot of really nice variegated plants. I'm not 100% sure what this plant is, this variegated plant is, but I do love the fact that it is trimmed to a nice shape. I love the variegation on it. And if you can see, all of these tropical house plants, and I say house plants with floating quotation marks, are growing out in full sun. And you know, a lot of times whenever we do plant shopping, we always say the care tips to grow a tropical plant is to keep it away from direct sun. But these plants that at least I've seen throughout my stay in the Philippines, they've been out and exposed to full sun, and they've done very well. Now, I will say for the Philippines, it is a tropical country, meaning it has high humidity. So the humidity levels are quite high, which makes it feel a little bit hotter than what we would expect. So it's kind of like being in a greenhouse almost 24/7. Even if you have centralized air conditioning, when you step outside, it is just pretty steamy. So that's the only drawback in terms of just being a tourist to the Philippines. But as you can see in my previous video, I showed you the beautiful beaches of the Philippines, or some of it, from Puerto Princesa, Palawan. But now we're back in Metro Manila, and I'm just showing you the urban metropolitan side. And as you can see here, plant foldies, we do have a lot of really nice looking plants. Now this one right here has a bloom that I'm not 100% sure what this plant is, but again, this is another tropical plant, and I do love the water fixture that they have. Later in the day, they will actually have beautiful fountains just kind of blowing water out. It is just a nice place to take a walk. Now, BGC Uptown is a newer, I guess, facility that was built. So you can see that there's just a lot of nice, beautiful skyscrapers. But what I did notice about these skyscrapers in urban modern buildings is that on some of the rooftop levels, they have full-blown gardens. They've got trees growing there. And as you can see at the bottom base right here, you can see that they've got some more tomathophyllums. Those tall trees right there, believe it or not, are actually Giflera or umbrella plants, so they can get to those sizes and become full-blown trees. Same thing with Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf. Now you can see that these ones are in planters. They're not doing as well as if they were planted in the ground. In some of my previous videos, these fiddle fig leaf trees or Ficus lyrata can grow up to 30 to 40 feet tall. So that was amazing to be able to see a full-blown ficus tree. We really don't see that out in the United States. You know, the most that we'll see as far as how tall they are is what I'm trying to say is usually they're only like 3 to 4 feet in height when you're buying them at a big box store. But as I pan around here, you can see that they've got a saloon again here. What a common but beautiful plant. I've never really paid attention to it. Whenever I went to like Home Depot, they would always have those available for like $24.97, somewhere around that range, but they are just rampant and all over the Philippines. That is one thing that I do like about the Philippines is it does have a natural environment for tropical plants. As I've said in my previous Philippine plant videos, a lot of these plants are in their native habitats. So there's really not a lot for plant care. And what I mean about plant care is you don't necessarily have to worry about like the lighting conditions, the watering conditions, or even the soil. I've literally seen like beautiful crotons, pothos plants growing in the in the ground, and the soil isn't necessarily an aeroid mix. It's literally just topsoil, and the plant seems to do well. So that's the thing that I've learned about this trip is if you provide a plant, a native plant, its native environment, it will take care of itself versus becoming a house plant where it becomes a plant care tips factor. So I've kind of recalibrated my thoughts on how I take care of my plants, what plants I would add into my collection, just because if I find a plant that I have to really work at in terms of like having to have a humidifier, having to water it a certain amount of times, having to check for plant pests, then it's probably a plant that I just wouldn't want to put in my collection, just because for one, whenever you go plant care or you're taking care of plants, I always think that plants should bring you joy versus having to really work at it and become more of like a plant chore. So that's kind of where I'm at in terms of my plant collection. And now, you know, I will still collect aglaonema, for instance. Like, look at these aglaonema. Now, this aglaonema, for instance, was out in the sun a little. It got too much sun to where it did get bleached out. But you can see right here, they do have aglaonema plus like a jade pothos in this planter. I did notice that a lot of the tropical plants in the Philippines tend to do better when they're actually just planted directly into the landscape versus planters. And maybe it's because it's just getting more of a natural environment versus being in a planter. But let's go ahead and go upstairs and actually try to see what we can see before the mall opens. You can see at the escalator, they've got some Epipremnum aureums, Marble Queen pothos. Really love the variegation of that plant. And again, that is a common plant. You can see that it is trailing. What I like about pothos plants or Epipremnum aureum is that they're easy to propagate. They're low maintenance plants. They literally grow everywhere. And if you let them grow up a pole, a totem pole, a moss pole, they will start to get larger leaves. Now in the Philippines, they attach themselves on palm trees or some type of tree, and you will really see some beautiful large fenestrated leaves. So I do like that this mall does utilize a lot of these plants. Now, plant foldies, please leave a comment in the comment section just to let me know what you think about the plant styling that the Philippines does with their public spaces. Like this one right here is an Epipremnum Manjula pothos. Love that, and it's just sitting right there in public, and it's doing its best to grow. That's the thing about Manjula pothos. You know, a lot of people will say that is an uncommon plant. I did see a lot of Manjula pothos available. And then you can see right here, we've got some planters with some very large anthuriums. I really like that as well. These bird's nest anthuriums are really cool. I haven't really gotten into anthuriums only because anthuriums, they require a little bit more humidity, and it's just a little bit more challenging for me to grow. But I did want to pan over here and show you how beautiful these buildings are, how the Philippines just really mixes a lot of these plants together. If you notice those tall trees, those are actually chiflera or umbrella tree plants that have become full-grown trees. I think that is awesome. And then you can see right here, they've got some more planters. I do love this cordyline Hawaiian tea plant plus a philodendron lemon lime mixture right here. I really like the contrast, the dark foliage on the cordyline Hawaiian tea plant plus that lemon lime color. It's a really nice contrast. Now, both of these plants are doing extremely well considering that they are outdoors. Now with the philodendron lemon lime, I've noticed in the Philippines that these are usually used as like a ground cover. All of the urban spaces that I've seen so far utilize this philodendron lemon lime as a ground cover. And then like cordyline Hawaiian tea plant, they are seen everywhere. There's so many different varieties that I saw in the Philippines that we typically don't see at, say, a big box store or even a local plant nursery out in the United States. Again, this is a tropical country, so these plants are readily available, and I would say they're super common. I also like the fact that these plants are so cost effective. Now, when you think about being an American tourist, think about the exchange rate for the money in the Philippines. So when I was there, one United States dollar, it was equal to 58 Philippine pesos. Now, a good meal would only be like 200 pesos, which means it was literally under $5 to have like a really good meal. And the same thing went for plants. So I wish I was able to take plants. Like I would even take an agave plant like this. Look at how beautiful this is back home. But unfortunately, I am not able to take plants back to the United States. Otherwise, I would have had like luggage after luggage after luggage. Like the aglaonemas I saw, the different types of philodendrons that they have, even the croton plants that they have were just amazing. But as you can see right here, they still have some more of these Epipremnum aureum marble queen pothos. I would recommend the marble queen pothos if you ever find that at a big box store like Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, or even a grocery store like Kroger or HEB, which is basically a grocery store that's only available in Texas. I would buy the Epipremnum aureum marble queen pothos. This one does like bright indirect light, although in the Philippines, I've seen these growing in full sun, and I'm telling you, these are just stunning. You can see that this one right here has several nodes that you can take cuttings from and propagate. That's one thing I do like about certain plants that attract me is I like the ability to be able to multiply and propagate plants. I'm all about saving money. I'm all about just getting more out of my plants instead of having to spend money to buy more, if that makes any sense. And you can see right here, we've got a mixture of Dieffenbachia as well as Epipremnum aureum golden pothos as kind of like a ground cover for this planter. And you can see as I move up, this is a Dieffenbachia. And this is a Dieffenbachia that is fairly mature because you can see that it has become a full cane. That's why it's probably called the dumb cane. But Dieffenbachia in the Philippines, I have a new love for Dieffenbachia because look at how large these Dieffenbachia are. Super gorgeous looking Dieffenbachia right here. I love seeing the variegated forms that I saw at the airport. Now, Dieffenbachia, for those that are new to what a Dieffenbachia is, it is a highly toxic plant. It is not pet friendly. So if you cut it and you get some of the sap on your skin, it can highly irritate it. So please don't do that. Now with Dieffenbachia, Dieffenbachia, I always say that it is a finicky plant. In the Philippines, they grow like weeds. You literally can put them outside and they'll take care of themselves. And then over here is a philodendron burley marks. Really like this philodendron as well. And I think what I like about this philodendron, it looks like a philodendron bellitiae, but it is more of a cost-effective philodendron. Notice how it just becomes very compact and bushy. That's another thing I like about this philodendron. It is easy to propagate as well. And you can see, look at these aerial roots. With the climate in the Philippines being so humid, these aerial roots are literally just going crazy. You don't even have to put it on a pole. The plant will push it out. And that's the thing too with vinca flowers. So if this is your first time seeing my plant videos from the Philippines, one thing I want to highlight is look at this vinca flower. So vinca flowers are great. They're heat tolerant, they take full sun, but in the United States, or at least in the western part of the world, these are considered more of an annual plant. But as you can see here, this plant seems to be more mature because it's gotten a really like woody base. So these can actually grow as an evergreen, or a plant that can just grow year round. Actually, the majority of these philodendron and all of these plants are pretty much evergreens, because the Philippines really only has two different types of seasons. They have the monsoon season or the rainy season, which is what I went to, although I was really fortunate that it didn't rain too much. And then they have the dry season. So it's quite interesting. And what's really interesting is, like, I did not know vincas could get pretty tall and bushy. And so that's the thing. It depends on your grow zone. In the Philippines, it's definitely a different grow zone, but it's one that I can appreciate. And you can see right here, we've got some type of like shamrock oxalis, vinca flowers. We've got some golden pothos and some more philodendron burley marks. I really like that. And these are all of these planters that are on the second floor of this mall, overseeing this beautiful, these beautiful skyscrapers right here. Like, you know, a lot of people will say that the Philippines is a third world country. There is quite a bit of poverty there, but for the newer development, I mean, it can rival just being modern as compared to like maybe some European countries as well as the United States. I would even venture to say that the malls in the Philippines are world class, because I didn't really take any film of the mall, but basically they're huge. They have so many different stores. And I love the fact that the mall plants that we saw at the Philippines, like this, they're just readily available. So plant foldies, let me know what you guys think so far. I know that this is a different type of content. You know, it is kind of a risk for me to kind of change it up a little bit in terms of my niche. I really hope that my plant foldies, the ones that really appreciate my big box store plant shopping videos, will still consider watching all of these videos throughout, because I just find it interesting that I can show you my home country and then just also show you the plants that are native to the country and how they do thrive. Because like right over here, for instance, we've got a beautiful Dieffenbachia again. I used to not be a fan of Dieffenbachia because I always thought Dieffenbachia get leggy, but then I didn't realize that as a Dieffenbachia matures, that is really the growth pattern it does. It does get a little leggy or more caney, but look at how beautiful and large these leaves get. I really love the variegation on it. And you know, for Dieffenbachia, when you grow them indoors, they are a little bit more susceptible to spider mites. They tend to need more bright light. But when I went to the Philippines, I've noticed that even Dieffenbachia can be growing out in the jungle with very little light and it's still doing well. So perhaps it's the climate, the environment, the humidity, whatever it is, Dieffenbachia definitely thrive in the Philippines. Do I think Dieffenbachia can grow well in the United States? I do. I just think that it's going to take a little bit more work to really have them grow to those sizes. And then you can see right here, this is some type of palm tree, not sure. And then we have some more pothos right over here. Now, golden pothos, it is probably the most common aroid or tropical plant you will see at any country. And, you know, within good reason. It's a very easy plant to propagate. It's very not so fussy, I would say. And it's tolerant on a lot of things. Like you can literally get away with not watering a pothos plant for quite a bit and it'll still do okay. I did realize that in Epipremnum pinnatum, which is basically in an epipremnum that is endemic to the Philippines. It is not as tolerant for being underwatered. And I realized that because I have a Cebu blue pothos that just didn't do well until I watered it. And then over here, we've got a Schefflera plant. So these umbrella plants is another thing that's very common in the Philippines. Love that a lot. Now, the care tips for Schefflera is bright indirect light. Make sure that you are watering it when it is about 50% dry, and you'll be okay. But these Schefflera plants that I just showed you can become full-blown trees, and I think that is so cool. And then right over here, and this is what's really interesting. Now, just think this is on the second floor for a restaurant, but look at this. They've got a Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. That's amazing. But more so, you will see that beautiful variegated Pachira aquatica. We're going to take a look at that. Like, where do you see this in public in the United States? Where can you find a variegated Pachira aquatica? Look at that beautiful variegation. I mean, a little small one in like a 3-inch or 4-inch pot will already cost more than $100. And we just have these huge ones right here. Now, the thing about these variegated Pachira aquatica is they're actually grafted onto a stump. So that's the reason why it's got a little bit more of a thicker look about it. But as you can see here, this variegated Pachira aquatica is absolutely stunning. Look at that variegation. It is one that I want to add to my collection. I would just really need to find it. Now, whenever I was going to plant shop, those variegated Pachira aquatica would only cost about $20 US for something that was pretty large. So again, if that was a plant I could take home, I would have definitely taken home some of them. But you can see here, this is a beautiful plant. Now, this is a plant that I would not recommend putting in full sun. So as you can see, there is a little bit of leaf burning there. It probably got a little bit too much sun. And then on the bottom, you can also see they've mixed up some begonias, some aglaonemas right here, different types of aglaonemas, and then this Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. Some people will call this the mini monstera. It is not a monstera, but what I do like is it is one of those plants that you can't really make into a hanging basket. It really wants to grow upward, and you can see right here, it's really tall, it's thriving. You can see that the aerial roots are just popping out because of that ambient humidity. I do love the look of the leaves. I love that little fenestration right there, and it's just a beautiful plant. I would just recommend it to anybody, even the green form. Now, I would love to be able to get a hold of like a variegated version, but that one is still a little bit pricey. But aglaonemas, I think seeing aglaonemas in the Philippines has kind of rekindled my love for aglaonemas. I definitely want to keep collecting aglaonemas because it's really easy. And then right over here, we've got some philodendron hope. So this is a smaller type of philodendron with some serrated leaves. Beautiful looking philodendron. It's in a nice pot. And then check this out. Look at this massive philodendron. So I don't know what this philodendron is. It might be a philodendron green imperial. Somebody please leave that in the comments and let me know the plant ID. And right underneath it, you can see there are some beautiful philodendron Brazils right underneath it. It's kind of like a topsoil cover, but this is such a beautiful philodendron. So if anybody knows this philodendron's plant ID, please let me know. And then you can see over here, we've got some more aglaonema at the bottom of that planter. And look at this. This is just amazing. Look at all of that beautiful variegation on this Pachira aquatica. I like that there's two different types of variegated Pachira aquatica. One of them has more of like a dusty variegation, and then the other one has more like high contrast, like a aurea yellow variegation. So as you can see that they've grafted a couple of different varieties of Pachira aquatica. I definitely would love to have that in my collection. I mean, honestly, if I could just take one of those and like prop it, that would be awesome. I was definitely tempted to prop lift. I definitely didn't do that, but just the amount of healthy looking plants available, and you got to think these are plants that you could potentially see at a big box store. Look at how this Rhaphidophora tetrasperma is just climbing up that wall and right next to the Pachira aquatica. And this is actually on a roof deck where Chili's, it's an American restaurant chain of restaurants, is there, and you can see right at the bottom how beautiful that is as well. It is a beautiful Friday morning, and I just love the fact that I did spend just a couple of my hours before I had to fly to go film for you. So plant foldies, I don't know if you guys are liking this content. I know I'm just really excited to be able to just show you all of these plants. Like, I mean, could you imagine seeing a variegated Pachira aquatica in a public setting where nobody was going to tamper with it? I just think it's interesting because the majority of Filipinos, I'm sure that they appreciate plants, but in terms of just the value or looking at these plants, finding them whether they're uncommon or rare, it was just really interesting that a lot of people just kind of saw them as plants, whether it's a variegated form or a regular green form. I didn't really see a lot of people just going crazy over this, but for me to be able to see a large variegated Pachira aquatica like this, I mean, I think we are all in the same boat, and we were all probably going to be like, wow, look at how gorgeous this is. And you can see that it's a healthy one because it's got some new leaves kind of unfurling. I really wish that I could get one of these plants. It is one of my wish list plants. It is a plant that is still quite uncommon and quite pricey in the United States. And that's another thing in terms of these plants. Like, look at this right here. Now, this is a huge philodendron rojo Congo, and I love the fact that it's super healthy. And on the bottom is a bunch of Epipremnum aureum enjoy pothos. I really like the contrast, and I just like how they did mix and match these larger planters. I don't mind it. Typically I don't like mixing plants together, but that one works for me. And then over here is another variegated Pachira aquatica, and I love the look of this Pachira aquatica. I just am just in awe. It's such a beautiful variegated plant. It's a plant that I definitely would love to add in my plant collection. Going to the Philippines and seeing all of these beautiful plants has kind of reignited my love for my plants, because before I went on vacation, I was starting to feel very overwhelmed with some of the plant upkeep and plant care of some of my plants. You know, being able to balance YouTube, doing plant shopping videos every single day, you know, in an average video, or to produce an average video for you guys, takes about 5 hours from the filming, editing, saving, uploading, all of that. And so when you mix that with a full-time job plus tons of plants, it did get overwhelming. But now that I've been on vacation, now that I've seen some beautiful plants, now that I've seen the maturity or the full potential of some of these tropical plants, I am super excited. I have decided that I will be downsizing a couple of my plants. So the plants that didn't make it through my vacation because I didn't water them, or their care was just a little bit more needy, I'm definitely not going to add them back to my collection. I just don't have the time to really invest in that. And I always urge anybody who watches my plant shopping videos, I know I give you guys a lot of care tips, and I do appreciate that you guys find value in them. Just reiterate the fact that all of our plants rely on us, and it really depends on our lifestyle. So the more time you invest in your plants, I would say the better off they'll be. But that doesn't mean that if you are a busybody like me, you can't have plants. You just have to kind of recalibrate what plants you can keep. So plants that I definitely want to keep in my collection would be like aglaonemas, Epipremnum aureum, certain philodendron, monsteras, Hoyas. Those plants are a little bit easier for me to take care of versus having to take care of like calatheas, that sort of thing. Calatheas, those are like one of my nemesis plants. And then just really thirsty plants as well, just because I know that I'm an underwaterer. But anyways, let's keep looking at these beautiful plants here. Here's another beautiful variegated Pachira aquatica with 2 columns of beautiful Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. Again, plant foldies, if you find this variegation gorgeous, please leave comments. I love comments. The last video got over 150 comments from you guys. I really appreciate that. Like I said, again, a big part of why I like to do plant shopping videos is you. I like to interact with our plant foldy community. Unfortunately, I haven't seen a lot of our regular plant foldy community that are on the chat. I miss you guys. I don't know if you guys know that I'm back on vacation, but I'm hoping that we can continue to have the same plant parties that we had on the chat before I went on vacation. But as you can see here, this is just a graft. So you can see that those variegated Pachira aquatica were grafted. And then you can see they have rice hull as the soil, so it's not anything special. Rice hull is very common in the Philippines, so they utilize that as a soil medium, which I think is really effective as well. And then you can just see how healthy and gorgeous that Rhaphidophora tetrasperma is. I definitely want to add that to my collection. It's another plant that I haven't been able to grow successfully long term. I would also say Monstera adansonii are another plant that I don't really do well long term. The one plant that has really brought me a lot of joy, plant foldies, is my Raven ZZ or ZZ plants. Super easy, and they're pushing out a lot of new growth. Aglaonemas too. The thing about aglaonemas is you do have to stay on top of the watering. While they're very drought tolerant, when they start to really decline in health, they really start to lose their leaves. So you just have to really maintain that. Although I do want a philodendron that large. Again, for my plant experts, please let me know what these plants would look like or what these plant IDs are, because I really want to know. Same thing with this beautiful philodendron Hope. Now, this is a philodendron I've seen out in public spaces in the United States, specifically in the mall. That is a beautiful small leaf serrated type leaf philodendron. That is an easy to care for philodendron. So if you're looking for a philodendron that's easy to care for, I would recommend that. I would recommend a Rhaphidophora tetrasperma as well as aglaonemas. Like, look at how beautiful that pink is. And you already know plant foldies. I love pink plants. I love dark foliage plants. I love variegated plants. I love all plants. So that's another thing that I wanted to go touch base on. But as you can see in the Philippines, look at this beautiful variegated Pachira aquatica. I wanted to take a little bit more time showcasing this because this is a plant that is quite uncommon or even rare in the United States. I really would love to get a hold of that, and to find sizes this size in a public area, it's just amazing. So unless you are in an area like Florida that might have some more accessibility to tropical plants, I would, venture to say that in Dallas, Texas, you're not going to see a variegated Pachira aquatica just out near a Chili's restaurant. So, that if I did, that would be something that I would be just in awe of. And then you can see right here, beautiful philodendron Rojo Congo with a combination of these Epipremnum aureum enjoy. I always go back and forth about which pothos plant or Epipremnum aureum is my favorite. I do like the enjoy. I would love to see the enjoy get large and fenestrate. That would be such a beautiful variegated plant. But I do like the fact that it's just got some high contrast variegation. The only drawback with the Epipremnum aureum enjoy is it is a slower growing plant. So this right here is a very slower growing plant, and it's not as tolerant about being underwatered. Like the big champions in terms of a pothos plant that is easy to take care of is a golden pothos, the jade pothos, our marble queen pothos, and the neon pothos. Either way, all pothos are easy, and the Philippines just makes it easy to grow tropical plants. Like, I am so envious of my home country to be able to have beautiful plants like this. Again, it is a country in the Southeast Asian country, so these are really where a lot of these plants come from at big box stores, and that's the reason why I have taken the time to show you guys this, at the risk of potentially not getting nearly as much engagement for some of my plant videos. I just felt the need to really showcase my culture, my heritage, and especially when it comes to plants, because again, we talk about plants being house plants. Well, there is no such thing as a house plant, because these plants did not just magically grow in a house. They had to have been taken out outside somewhere and been brought inside. Now, tropical plants tend to be a little bit more forgiving, I suppose, when you bring them indoors, but for them to really thrive, they need to be outdoors. And that's the thing about when I talk to some of the local Filipinos, they don't really have that concept of having house plants. It's literally plants that are in their landscape, in their garden. They're literally outside. And I could see that, like, these aglaonemas, they were not really brought inside. They were actually outside. And just all of these philodendron and monsteras that we see here. But I have just been walking around and just really wanting to show you guys how beautiful these plants are in their containers. that a lot of these plants are getting that early morning light, which is really the ideal light you want to get your plants. I just really want a variegated Pachira aquatica. I also love the mixture of these aglaonemas right here. One thing that's exciting is that Green Spaces ID did reach out to me directly about sending me some free plants. So I will be importing some plants from Indonesia, and if all goes well, I may end up just buying some more aglaonema from them. I wish that there were plants. So that's one thing when I was in the Philippines, I was looking for somebody that imports plants, but there's really not a big importing market from the Philippines. Typically, you'll have to get it from Thailand or Indonesia. But if I could even import this right here for a good price, I would totally do it, because I keep circling back and I just keep getting, I just can't get over this. This is such an amazing looking plant, and it's just sitting in front of a restaurant. Like, of all places, it's in the middle of a mall, in the middle of some urban setting, in the middle of this beautiful sky, all of these skyscrapers, and it's like nobody really pays attention to it except for, crazy plant people like me. So plant folies, now I'm going to go to the third floor or the third level. But before we do that, we're going to see what other plants that they have available here. You can see I'm not 100% sure what type of plant this is. It might be some type of Dracaena. And then this right here, I'm not sure if this is some type of Aralia. What an interesting looking plant. What I like about it is it's got ruffles, it's got serrated leaves, and the edges are a nice white variegation. So I think that's super cool as well. I am just ready to get more of these types of plants. I don't know a lot about them. So again, plant folies, if you know the plant ID for this plant, please let me know, because again, I'm not an expert, and I didn't realize how much I didn't know in terms of plant IDs when I went to the Philippines, because there were a lot of plants I couldn't necessarily identify, and the thing is, they didn't have plant IDs, especially when I went to like a local plant nursery to go shopping. But as you can see here, look at these beautiful steps right here. They've got some butterflies, and above is a beautiful living wall. And that's the thing I saw a lot in the Philippines, is having just full-blown living walls. So we're just gonna just kind of admire what these plants look like. You can see how beautiful this living wall is right here. It looks like they've got picara plants, they've got a bunch of crotons, they've got chiflera plants, they've also got Dieffenbachia here, they've got some ferns, and just look at that, and look at how it just kind of contrasts with the landscape and just the skyscrapers around it. I really do love the fact that this mall, this urban setting, really merges nature with modern contemporary buildings. And then even this right here, look at how healthy this philodendron is. Again, I'm not 100% sure what type of philodendron this is, or if it's an alocasia, so plant folies, let me know. And as you can see here on the third part right over here is a really cool looking green space. So they've got a bunch of benches that you can sit at, but they've got little small gardens. So you can see they've got some type of palm tree right over here, and then they've just got several different types of tropical plants. They've got a mixture of chiflera plants, we've got some fern plants, it looks like they even got a coleus plant right over here, and a bunch of aglaonemas. All of the plants that I love, maybe not the fern, but especially the aglaonema. Look at that beautiful white stem again on that aglaonema. I've never seen that type of green aglaonema available in the United States, and I think that's the drawback about living in the western part of the world. We just don't get that diversity of tropical plants as you would see in, say, a country like the Philippines. And that's a reason why, like, they probably have such cool little settings, gardens like this. I mean, look at this. They've got some beautiful aglaonemas again with a bunch of chifleras, just regular green chiflera plants. And they even have some mixtures of Dieffenbachia. So I don't know, plant folies, let me know what you think. And it's so cool that this is on a third level floor of a mall, and they have their little, urban spaces where they have some greenery around it. But look at how beautiful Dieffenbachia is. I'm actually inspired to buy a Dieffenbachia. I am going to refrain from buying plants for the next month or so, just until I can get all of my plants under control. There's some plants I'm getting rid of. There's some plants that I am composting. And there's just a lot going on since coming back from vacation. But you can see here, look at that. That is such a cool looking palm. I even like the bark on it. Super cool. And then obviously the sea of aglaonemas and then rhapis palms. I've always loved rhapis palms. I remember seeing rhapis palms at a local plant nursery called Plant Keeper Incorporated in downtown Dallas. They had large forums, but rhapis palms are so common in the Philippines. And I found me some variegated rhapis palms, so I thought that was super cool. But you could see all of those stripe type aglaonemas are so precious. And then we've got another type of perhaps bamboo type plant, not 100% sure, or some type of dracaena. But as I pan away here, you can see that all of this is just available for you to enjoy. And I definitely enjoyed just walking around the mall. You can just sit here, read a book, have a Starbucks. There is a Starbucks over there. And you can see here, they even have some calatheas in this bed of plants. Calatheas do fairly well in the Philippines, and I think it's because, again, it's the humidity, the natural humidity they have in the Philippines. Their form of landscaping is basically utilizing what we call tropical plants. We definitely couldn't get away with that, at least in my grow zone, which is 8B, North Dallas. I could never be able to just grow a bunch of those tropical plants in the ground, in the landscape, because when winter comes, they will all freeze and die. But in the Philippines, it never does snow. It doesn't really ice over like that. And that's the reason why they're able to grow all these tropical plants. But as I pan away over here, we've got another set of beautiful plants right here. We've got some more palm trees and plant folies. Have you noticed that the Philippines also has a use of a church? Check this out. There is a church on the third floor. So the Philippines is predominantly Catholic. So you will see even churches in a mall on a third floor with beautiful plants. So I just find that very interesting. And I also find this plant very interesting, this picara plant. Again, it's that variegated plant that I just saw, very common plant that I wished was available in the United States. And then they also have a bunch of these alternatera plants, or some type of plant with, some very subtle variegation. I really like that as well as all of these aglaonemas. So you can see there is just a sea of different types of aglaonemas. Aglaonemas are super common, and the pricing for aglaonemas, you can buy a fairly decent sized aglaonema for like 50 pesos, which is literally under $1 US. So you can only imagine how crazy I would have gotten if I was able to buy a bunch of these plants, to put them in my suitcase and take them back to Dallas, Texas. Like, it just would have been a thing. I would have brought you guys a lot more plants as well. I love doing plant giveaways. I will be doing another plant giveaway soon for a philodendron ring of fire. So just make sure you are following me on my Instagram at Growfolds if you want to participate. And you can even see right here, they've got trailing plants. This one is just a philodendron heteroraceum, just a green form. Look at how cool that is, and how they've let it just kind of attach itself to the wall. And then here is another view of that church, that Catholic church right there. And then just another pan view of just what you could see on the third floor over here. As you can see, we passed by that Catholic church. Beautiful church indeed. There was a couple of people in there already, and I just love that it's like see-through. You can see the skyscrapers are around, and then you can also see this beautiful lush green foliage here. There's a level of tranquility, a level of zen that you get by just looking at plants. And that's why for all of the plant foldies that have made it this far into the video, if you haven't already, please make sure you are hitting that like button. Please make sure you are leaving me some comments. I just love being able to talk about plants. So this is definitely not a plant shopping video. It's just really me perhaps utilizing this as more of like a personal plant blog. So for my followers and my subscribers, I am just really excited to be able to show you these structures, these different types of plants. And I am excited to see you guys at PlantCon 2024 in Dallas, Texas. It'll be August 31st, September 1st. I will be there. I'm hoping that we can have a really fun plant foldy meetup. As well as just getting to catch up with people. I'm hoping that as the days come by and as I start putting out those big box store plant shopping videos, we will still have more lively chats. We are close to getting to 10,000 subscribers. So if you know anybody who likes plants like me, recommend them to the Grow Folds channel. I'll have even more content available. I'm still continuing the Philippine plants just because I figured it'd be something different. And if you notice right over here, we've got a Starbucks and we got a Jumbo Juice. So if you want to just sit down, hang out, and look at these plants, read a book, do a little bit of computer work on your laptop. I've seen a lot of people do that. And the reason why I chose to film very early in the morning is by noontime, this is just bustling with lots of people. And I didn't really want to capture a lot of people. I really wanted to have more of a place where I can show you these beautiful living wall, for instance. Like, check this out. This is such a cool wall full of tropical plants. And again, this is, you know, with plants that are croton plants. We've got some picara plants. We've got some schefflera plants. I'm going to just keep zooming in a little bit. Yeah, we've got a bunch of schefflera plants. I love that umbrella. You can tree plant. You can see this one is the variegated form. We've got some Rex begonias, different types of Rex begonias here. Rex begonias for me are a little bit challenging. So that's another plant. As much as I like to appreciate the beauty of the color of them, I just don't think I can grow them long term. They're just really fussy for me. And then I would love to be able to grow this ghost looking picara plant. So they have the different version of it. This one is more of like the minty green ghostly look, and then croton plants. So these are our typical croton petras. Love these. And in the Philippines, they can literally grow into full-blown trees up to 10-20 feet tall, and I love that. Those are very common, and I'm not even mad at it. They can be common because they are gorgeous. And then we just have even more plants right over here. So I'm just gonna go pan around and show you what else we got. And then over here, we have another just green form of the schefflera plant. Really like the look of the schefflera plant as well. Absolutely stunning. And it is just another plant that thrives in the Philippines climate. And then over here, we've just got some more smaller versions of the schefflera plant. Really like that as well. So there's different varieties of just schefflera plant or umbrella tree plant, as well as I wanted to admire how beautiful these picara plant are. You can see that the variegation is awesome. And what I like is not only does it have some really really nice looking variegation on the leaves, the undersides have a really nice burgundy red color. So it does really give you some good contrast, especially when the light hits it. It lets it illuminate a little bit more so. And that's just another plant that I am definitely a fan of. It's another plant that I would love to be able to grow in the United States. Just this isn't a plant that I have really been able to see often, so I'm not sure if it's even really available. I might look on eBay or Etsy to see if somebody sells it, but a picara plant like this, or they also call this the Chinese croton plant, super common in the Philippines. It's super vigorous, super easy to grow outdoors. So I would be curious to see how that would grow in like an indoor setting. A lot of these plants again are considered tropical house plants that most people would grow in the house or indoors, but as you can see here, we've got a Dieffenbachia that is just living its best life outdoors. So again, plant foldies, let me know in the comments section what you think of all of these plants. What are your favorite plants? Would you go to the Philippines and check out these plants? It's definitely a treat for me to be able to showcase all of these beautiful plants, and just the fact that it's mixed in with such a beautiful urban structure. Really nice looking plant for sure. And I'm just going to keep walking here and seeing what else we have available. See that they had a bunch of Calathea dotties right over here, some more picara plants. We've got some peace lilies as well. It looks like this flower bed, or this bed right here, is just starting to have their plants grow a little bit more to fill it out. But needless to say, still some beautiful plants that they have planted, especially the Spathiphyllum or peace lily with the picara plants. You can see how thick some of those Dieffenbachia are, as well as the large leaves on these beautiful Aglaonema. If you're not an Aglaonema fan, I would highly encourage you to get into Aglaonemas because they are quite easy to take care of. They're drought tolerant. You don't have to water them nearly as much, and they don't require nearly as much light. Now, they are more low light tolerant, but if you want them to have the best coloration, you definitely want to have them get that bright indirect light. Aglaonemas, although they are beautiful, they are also hard to find in the United States. I noticed that there's only a certain amount of varieties that you can find. If you get lucky to find them as a Costa Farms Trending Tropicals type of plant, or if you just go to like a local plant nursery that has them, and then you can see here, Calathea dotty, beautiful dark foliage. That's the thing about Calatheas. I don't really want to grow them anymore. Even growing them in hydroponics has a situation, and it's one of those things where I just definitely want to make sure that I have plants in my plant collection that are going to be more conducive to my lifestyle. Since I have such a busy life, Calatheas are just such a finicky plant. They're beautiful to look at, but I've even noticed that some of my Calatheas that I grow in hydroponics don't do nearly as well. So it's just probably a plant that's not going to be there for me long term. And you can see right here, as I walk into more of the outside section of this mall, you can see they've got a bunch of rhapis palms with some trailing plants here. As you can see, these rhapis palms are actually a variegated version of the rhapis palm. Look at that. Even though there is just a little bit of a subtle variegation, I would love to get a variegated version of the rhapis palm. What a beautiful looking plant. It is another plant that I wish was more readily available in the United States. Unfortunately, I haven't found it, and if I did find it, I would assume it would be a little bit more of a pricey plant. But as you notice here, they've just got it as a backdrop alongside with some beautiful Aglaonema again. Aglaonemas, plant foldies, let me know what you think about Aglaonemas, but also let me know what you think about that variegated rhapis palm right here. They are just absolutely stunning, and I do like that they have like a waterfall water fixture. There's definitely that zen peaceful vibe that you would get. So we're just going to keep looking at these variegated rhapis palms. And I just love that this has a beautiful little waterfall here with the rhapis palm. So not only is it providing a beautiful statement, there's also that ambient humidity. Not that these plants need any more humidity. It's super humid in the Philippines, but you can see they've got even more variegated rhapis palms here. And mind you, we are just walking on the outskirts of a mall. In the inside of the mall actually has a ton of plants as well. So I love that there's just plants, indoor tropical plants available for us to view. Again, Plantfoldies, if you are ever interested in going to take a vacation to the Philippines, I would highly recommend it. Add me on Instagram, send me a direct message. I can probably give you some good pointers or some places I would recommend. But one thing that is for sure, if you ever visit the Philippines, you will see such beautiful plants in person. And I think there is a level of just excitement to see these plants thriving in their natural environment, because they do get to these large forms, they become mature, and it's a really nice feeling to be able to see that. It is a sight to behold, as well as just looking at these variegated rhapis palms. Again, I can't get over it. I don't even know how much this would cost. So Plantfoldies, if you have any idea of how much a variegated rhapis palm would cost, please leave that in the comments. Again, I love comments in the comments section. You can even leave comments in the comments section while we have a live premiere. I will definitely answer each and every one of them. I know I did want to give a shout out to all of my Canadian Plantfoldies. I miss you all. I hope that I will see you guys on these live premieres and see more of you guys commenting. You guys were some of my original Plantfoldies, and now that I have some of this international plant videos, hopefully you guys do appreciate it. But overall, in terms of just what they have available, there is this theme with the Philippines where they mix modern with natural elements. So Plantfoldies, I hope you enjoyed this installment today. I'll have another Philippine plant video for you tomorrow. As always, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel at Growfolds. This is Richie. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.